Plastic knives and forks. Recently, while on a trip to visit my sister in hospital, it came time for a bite to eat. It had been a long day, and the gurgles that I assumed were the vibrations of the many apparatuses that were in her room embarrassingly turned out to be my own tummy, telling me it was time to replenish the tanks. So, off I went in search of something to eat. Have you ever arrived at that point of the day where you know you're hungry, but you're too tired or you're too lazy to do anything about it? The rumble that you hear in your lower regions begins to reverberate tunes and rhythms that are so loud that the people that you've never met in the seats opposite you are tapping their toes to the beat. Time to eat. There was no line up at the canteen, and the lovely person who was behind the counter smiled and merrily asked me, "What can I get you, dear?" Can I have a spinach and feta fillet, please? And a bottle of water," was my hungry reply. "Coming right up." Now, it wasn't long before my fillet was all heated in a plastic container and in my hands, along with the mandatory plastic knife and fork, and of course, napkin. I found a seat on the comfy chairs, spread out my lunch, got a book prepared and ready on my phone, opened my bottle of water, opened the container with the fillet, took in the aroma of the canteen cuisine, picked up my utensils, and I tucked in. I was so looking forward to eating, so hungry. Have you ever had those moments when you're sure that someone was watching you and they were laughing? I have. During the very first attempt at piercing my fillet with my fork and attempting to slice off a generous portion of pastry, my plastic knife and fork became spaghetti in my hands. The fork performed first. All 4 prongs squished off in a different direction. They didn't break off, they just bent off in different directions, becoming more exaggerated the harder I pushed. The knife performed next. It bent left, it bent right, it bent up, it bent down. Even my fillet looked as though it were laughing at me. On my second attempt, my utensils literally became spaghetti in my hands and contortioned into unusable implements of destruction. I turned the fillet over so the soft bottom would be more easily penetrated, but the show continued. And as if they had minds of their own, my plastic knife and fork bent every which way in that and refused to cut my pastry. So like all good hungry men, I threw off my cutlery, picked up the fillet, and ate it by hand. Now, besides the fact that every security camera had somehow turned towards me, and the sound of laughter and the chants of "Got another one" was streaming from the canteen, I couldn't help wonder what the life hack lesson would actually be should I write this into this fortnight's chat box. But then it dawned on me. If you want to eat your fillet in comfort, make sure you use good utensils. If you want to eat anything requiring knives and forks, make sure they're good ones, or at least ones that work. Sure, I used my fingers in the end, but the fillet was hot and I got grease all over me and pastry flaked and floated everywhere. Good utensils, good tools, they would have all been the ticket. I guess if we need to chop down a tree, we wouldn't use a plastic axe. If we need to get a job done, good tools help. And if you already have the right tools, like so many already do in this thing called life, make sure that they're sharp and ready to do what they're supposed to do. Are there things in your life that just ain't working for you anymore and they may, need an update perhaps? Or maybe some things just need to be sharpened. Especially if you're hungry, and silly plastic knives and forks just won't cut it. See you next time.